Hello, everyone. So, welcome to the newest seminar on how to create an awesome environment for your physique development, your fat loss phase, how to basically produce the best results and make the process easy. I always talk about this about making the process easy. We don't want to make it difficult. We want to make it as easy as possible. Create an environment that makes everything accessible. We've got everything on. Everything becomes easier. You get access to good quality nutrition, good foods that you know are going to keep you fuller for longer. That 80% rule, when we're getting good quality whole nutrition, have it on tap. Have it everywhere. Have it in your cupboards. Have it in your fridge. Creating that awesome environment and making things feel like a breeze. Now, we're going to go into it. What are my biggest tips for creating this basically awesome environment? So, first of all, breaking bad habits. So, for us to create a good environment, we must get rid of the bad ones. So, there's a famous study on American soldiers who got addicted to heroin when they're in the Vietnam War, and this around 20% of all soldiers got addicted to heroin and were taking it, and when they came back to America, in the relapse of, or the people that carried on with their addiction, that out of that 20%, they took it away and did a study, and they measured how many people carried on with this addiction once they got home. Around 5% in total from 20% of the soldiers carried on with their heroin addiction once they get back. So that's how important creating a good environment is at breaking bad habits. So when you think about it, a very addictive drug like heroin can be broken and can be stop taking it. Something so addictive like a narcotic can be broken with creating the right social environment and taking you out of the bad one. So what can we do how can we apply this to us? So with this knowledge that we know that creating a good environment can break bad habits, which is majority of what building a good physique is creating good habits and getting rid of bad ones. Is breaking bad habits is creating an awesome environment. So getting everyone on board, getting the environment. When people start their diet, they tend to leave, the things that remind them of those bad habits. Having excessive amount of junk food, having excessive bad foods in the fridge, having ice creams in the fridge, having pizzas, and having junk foods and leaflets and reminders of overindulgence. Now, we know that balance is crucial. We know that having these foods are fine within moderation, but when we are breaking bad habits and when we have been overindulging on these foods, creating some restriction on those foods for a certain period of time and avoiding those foods for a certain period of time and then adding it back in at a small moderate dose is much easier at the beginning. So keeping that first phase of your new fat loss phase, which is a lot of people when they come on board is starting that first initial fat loss phase, is getting rid of those reminders, getting rid of the leaflets, getting rid of any excessive sweets or crisps, and having it in the house and making it a special occasion type of food, rather than having it in the fridge, opening it every single time you go in the fridge. So majority of people will most likely on the weekends at least 3 times to go in the fridge, potentially more to get a drink, potentially more to make maybe potentially their kids' food as well. That's a lot of times you get a reminder of that subconscious thought of having a certain bad food if that food placement is put in the fridge, and that is a reminder even of product placement in films where they put certain objects in front of people to give them that a reminder that certain food is desirable. They have it with Cokes, certain foods, Apple products in particular, are massive with product placements in films. This is, even though it's subconscious, it is still a reminder, and it is still a subconscious bad habit that you can get in place with people constantly getting reminded of wanting to overindulge on certain foods. Now, optimizing this, I'm not saying you have to throw it all away. I'm saying that potentially keep it in the moderate to low portion of the house, making sure that it's in a way that it's very hard to get to, or particularly that it takes a lot of effort to do it. So if you have to have that food, or you're going to have it in a small moderation, it takes a lot of effort to get that food. Now, simple thing for me, if I was going to be in that situation, I know that a shop is within walking distance, so why do I need to keep that in the house? Or I can go to the shop and walk to it. If I particularly wanted a certain type of food, well, I can walk to it. I don't need that type of food to be stored in my house. I can just walk to it. And that little bit of effort will be a deterrent for me to have that food, and most likely it will be easier for me to have a good quality piece of food. So, going into detail of creating this environment, leaflets and reminders are putting away. Don't have that left on the side. Storing bad food at the back of the cupboard. That's simple food. You have to take everything out to make sure that you get to it. And then if you are particularly being, what I do is making sure that I store all bad food at the shop. So if I do want to have something like that on my 20% day, 20% days, 20% in moderation that I want, so 8% whole food, 20% a little bit of freedom and flexibility. So within that 20% is that you are having access to, I would go to the shop to make that even harder for me so my social environment is more optimized. Having support. So first of all, you've got me as your coach. So me having that support and having a plan in place, but also creating support within your social network. So even though you have me, it's also important to get other people involved within your effort. So with your phase of your journey into your fat loss phase, getting people on board makes it a whole lot easier. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit of time. It doesn't always, for getting people on board, it does take a little bit of time. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you are consistent, I can guarantee they'll get on board. Now, the way I know this is because I've started my physique journey 12 years ago, and when I came home from university and I had a new environment, I had to get it's recreating a new environment, making it optimized for me. So making sure that my parents understand that I don't want them making me food when I get in. I don't want them making me pizza when I get in. I don't want alcohol or anything to be left for me or made for me, or having it left around, or bringing me a glass of whatever on a regular occurrence. I want for me to make my meals, and I want to have control of my calorie input. Now, if I were going to have it, and they do want me to come, I can prepare for a social event. Preparation is key in this type of in this type of environment and in this journey, and you can prepare for it. But if it's last moment, I can't. Unfortunately, I can't. And it's sometimes having this power of saying no to certain situations helps with certain individuals getting on board. So making sure that you have that in your arsenal is the power of saying no to certain situations, because you will have to use it in certain situations. You can't just say yes to everything. You've got to prepare to have these social events, and now when choosing these social events, making sure that you choose the most important ones. So the most important ones for me, I put them into my diary and we book them in advance. Now, the reason I do that is because I can prepare for them. And if anything, if I prepare for those dates in advance, I can also train for for those dates. So I know that I've got this coming up in a couple of weeks. I can train for it. I can really push myself for it until this date, and then I can have a little bit of downtime. Maybe I'm training. It's going to come down to not as much as it is. Maybe from 5 sessions a week, it's going to come down to 4. Maybe on my week off, and maybe I'll have a social meal out, and I can prepare for it and have a little bit more flexibility during that time. But my point is that preparation is king. I feel like I've missed one. It's not skipping. Let me just double check. Breaking bad habits and support. Let me have a look. I knew I had one more. It was just the computer was freaking out probably because of how long this video is. Make it easy. So make the process easy. Make sure that you've got loads of good quality food in your kitchen. Make it that it makes it appetizing that you want to have those foods. So that the foods are good quality, they're voluminous, and they taste pretty good. One of the scenarios that I always overplay in my head is that I used to have this friend that I'm sure you won't mind me using this in this context, that when he used to start his diet, he used to boil everything. And I used to remember looking at everything. He had boiled potatoes with boiled chicken with boiled veg. And I remember seeing him sit down and you have it one meal and then you have it the next meal. And I remember asking him one day, "Do you enjoy that?" And he was like, "No." And I'd be like, "Well, can you see yourself doing that long term?" And he was like, "No." And I'd be thinking, so why aren't you making more effort with your meals to make them taste good, make them appetizing, make it easier on yourself, that you find your diet easier because you're enjoying the meals more, you're enjoying the process more. A quick easy tip for that, even off the top of my head, is that you could air fry or oven the potatoes to make them crispy and make the taste and the texture of the potatoes a bit different. You could, same again with veg, you could roast it, you can pan fry it, you could also you could mash the potatoes, you could have them crushed, you could there's like a billion different ways that you could have had that same meal. Same with the chicken, you could grill it, you could put it in the oven, you could put a low calorie sauce on it, you could fry it, you could have a rotisserie type chicken and then taking the you could have slow cook it, there's endless possibilities that taste a lot better than boiled chicken, in my opinion. So what I'm saying is that there is more options to make your meals taste a lot better, making the process easier and more enjoyable. So I just want you to take this on board with creating an awesome environment, is taking these subtopics and try and apply them for your physique development journey. Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will speak to you soon.